The Oklahoma Sooners were hot in July, but the month of August actually might just be hotter as the Oklahoma Sooners, to start the month, yes, they didn't land a commitment from Williams Winery yet, but they were able to flip the commitment of Brandon Zurbrugg, the three-star quarterback out of Alliance, Ohio, that was committed to Northwestern, but then also committed to Syracuse at one time. So yeah, we got to talk about it because this has actually been a crazy recruitment for the kid. And something worth noteworthy for the Oklahoma Sooners. But guys, before we do that, before we dive into it, go ahead and hit that like and hit the subscribe button. Jump down in the comments below and let me know what y'all's thoughts are. You might notice the background looks a little different, and that's because we have moved. So for the next couple of months, this is the background you guys are going to see. You'll likely see Boomer right behind me and maybe Ruby every once in a while. So we'll have some guest appearances and we'll try to get it cleaned up a little bit and make it look just right. But today we got to talk about the three-star quarterback that committed to the University of Oklahoma from Alliance, Ohio, that was at one point committed to Northwestern, and before that was committed to Syracuse. Yes, you heard me right. The kid has not flipped his commitment once, but twice. And if you're Brandon Zurbrugg, you know that you have the opportunity to come in under Jeff Lebby's system and be a quarterback that can vie for a backup QB number 2, maybe even QB number 3, because let's be honest, the quarterback room is going to be really deep. But one thing that we have learned and kind of gotten the sense of this offseason, this staff, including Jeff Lebby, they're not going to go into another season where they did last season and not have multiple scholarship quarterbacks that can realistically play and play at a high level. They want to have multiple guys in the system, regardless of how good you are, vying for a spot, vying for a role on this team so that they can keep the quarterback position, one, competitive, but two, a position that can go out there and hold its own even when there's injuries. Heaven forbid anything was to happen to the quarterback position. But Brandon Zurbrugg is a guy that held a little over 7 offers. Like I said, committed to Syracuse. You had the scandals at Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald gets fired, so he's no longer there. He had offers from the likes of Toledo, Miami, Ball State. So you look at Brandon Zurbrug's offers, they don't just hit you off the page and are like, okay, like this guy's, amazing, but he's the number 55th overall quarterback in this class. And that tells you that he could have started for somebody. And ultimately, he chose to come into a quarterback room where it's going to be competitive and try to fight for a spot. And if you think about what this does for the Oklahoma Sooners, it ultimately reestablishes faith and direction for the players and commits that are committed to the class and the guys that aren't committed to the class in what potentially Jeff Lebby and this staff are doing. So if you're the Oklahoma Sooners, you come off the hills of a commitment with Michael Patterson McDonald the day before, and then you get Brandon Zurbrugg the day after, and you ask yourself, so what's this class going to look like as the weeks weigh on in the month of August? And that's a great question because currently we're waiting on a guy like Williams Winery, who people thought would be committing on August 1st. Now there's rumors floating around that might be another date. Then you have David Stone on August 26th. Caden Durham on August 25th. And I know you guys have seen the predictions flowing in for LSU there, and likely that might be an LSU win, but Oklahoma's still in that battle. And that's still a battle that I guess if DeMarco Murray and them want to win and you get a guy like David Stone, you have Xavier Robinson in this class, you have Michael Patterson McDonald, does Caden Durham say no to friends to want to come play at the University of Oklahoma? I have no idea. But you're looking for those commitments. You're looking for commitments like Josh Isosa. You're looking at guys like Grant Briggs, Daniel Akinkunmi, and you're saying, could those guys potentially shut it down in the month of August and give Oklahoma an even stronger month? You look at the idea of landing 2 5-star defensive linemen in the same month and go, that might be the best recruiting month that the Oklahoma Sooners have ever gotten. And definitely the best at any position for the University of Oklahoma. And that's to say a lot because they've gotten 5-star wide receivers, 5-star quarterbacks. But if they land 2 5-star defensive linemen, this might be the most historic recruiting month for the University of Oklahoma. And that's what we're here for. And that's what we're here to talk about, because you look at what Oklahoma's class could be if you add in those guys. You have the nation's #1 running back. You would have the nation's #1 defensive end and a top 3 defensive linemen in the country. Both, mind I tell you, are top 10 players in the country. And then you look at a guy like potentially Grant Bricks, who we all want. We have all established that. I've seen you guys in the comments before talking about it. But if you land a guy like Grant Bricks, who, listen, just looks the part and apparently can play the part, yes, Grant Bricks would be an excellent addition. And again, on the offensive line, you're looking at a guy like Josh Isosa, a local hometown kid from Edmond, Santa Fe. You want to be able to get a guy like that and keep him here in the state and keep him here playing for your team, because the idea and the role of what the staff was wanting to do is they were wanting to land more guys in the state and lock down Oklahoma, keep the likes of Kansas and Kansas State out. And I mean, obviously Oklahoma State's going to get their guys, but if you're Oklahoma, you should always be getting the top guys in the state of Oklahoma if the guys want to actually come to your school. And I say that because, well, sometimes players don't actually want to come play for Oklahoma. They'll want to go to a place like Michigan State or Oregon, but that's a conversation for a whole nother day. But you look at what Kansas is doing in the state of Oklahoma. They just landed the quarterback David McComb out of Edmond Memorial. They get Red Martell. Kansas is doing something special up there. We got to keep an eye on it, because they also got Utley, too, from Norman North, who, listen, his dream offer was Oklahoma, but he committed to Kansas, and he made it very clear that commitment is sticking, because that's where he ultimately committed to. But this class for Oklahoma in 2024 could be absolutely special. When you look at the end of it, obviously we've talked about those guys that could potentially fall in August, but you look at the guys in September that Oklahoma is still in the running for. A Braden Platt, a Nigel Smith, a Danny Okoye. Yes, you heard me right. A Danny Okoye, a Zena Yumioa Zulu. Not saying he's committing in September. He could fall in August, but that's one you guys got to keep your eye on. And Eli Bowen, Peyton Bowen's brother. You guys have heard so much about the 5-star safety and what he's doing on campus. Listen, could you imagine adding his brother, who was a crucial part to that Denton Geyer defense last year, onto this team? It would be absolutely incredible, and it's something I think that we are all paying attention to, and it's something that we're all excited to see exactly what all shape and unfolds this next season. But going into the SEC, the staff, again, has made it clear that they want scholarship quarterbacks on this team. They want to have 3 or 4, and they don't want to end up in the same position that they were last year, losing 49-0 to your rivals because, well, you don't have depth at the quarterback position. But guys, I want to hear from you. Go ahead, jump down in the comments below and let me know what y'all's thoughts are about the commitment of the 3-star quarterback Brandon Zurbrugg to the University of Oklahoma, where they ultimately flipped him from Northwestern, and Northwestern flipped him from Syracuse. It's been a wild recruitment for this kid, but it looks like it's finally over.